All right. Joining me for my first interview in a while. And as you can see, first interview in a while in the new office, is you can see his name on screen, but it's CA Conservative. Welcome back to the show.
Hello.
All right. As we are recording this, there's some breaking news. Am I right?
There is. Although, is it really breaking when the only question was the date?
Yeah. We are of course referring to Finland's NATO membership being ratified by Turkey, and thus it now is part of NATO.
Yes, that is the exciting news. And the
Yeah.
only the only real news today that's worth talking about.
Yeah, also
Um,
Trump got indicted for sleeping with we're paying a porn star hush money and not in line
yeah,
with it.
we don't need to talk about that,
Yeah,
but
we don't
it's just part of the master strategist's plan.
exactly. We
To
can get to
include
that in a bit.
another huge military with us. Not that they haven't practically been a part of the EU's various schemes in this
Finland
direction.
has.
Yeah. Um, but it's glad to see the Turks have ceased their veto
Yeah. Now, if only they'd let
on it.
Sweden in as well.
It'll take until after the election, which, given the way the polls are going, isn't going to take long.
Oh wow. Oh, you think Erdogan is going to lose?
He'll be lucky not to lose by double digits.
Wow. No, that would be impressive because I think he's pulled all the stops to make sure that he wins.
He has, but the earthquake finished him.
Yeah.
That's not survivable. His only chance was criminalizing all of his opponents, but sadly for him, he couldn't arrest them all. I mean, not yet. I guess he could if he wanted to.
Yeah, true. And I figured that's what you do. I feel like he was basically going to be a right wing Ortega or Islamist Ortega.
He may try, but he has too many Western friends for it.
Yeah. Is it weird that I actually, until those mass arrests happened, I was actually hopeful that Ortega would lose in 2021?
He probably would have in a fair election.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad Finland's now part. I mean, part of NATO. Like from what I've read, that gives NATO forces essentially easy access to Russia's nuclear deterrent in the Karela Peninsula.
I wasn't aware they had any nuclear weapons there. I thought it was all in the East.
I thought that they had like stuff that they shoot over the Arctic as well.
They might. It's been a long time since
Yeah,
the Arctic has been relevant in that direction, given the range of the ballistic missiles has gotten so advanced.
right.
Um,
And there's like a single road and rail line that services that entire area, that military area, and it's all near the Finnish border.
Probably.
Yeah. Although it's not entirely clear that Finland would even let foreign troops on its soil. They've never let foreign troops on their soil.
Well, they're going to have to as part of this.
Yeah, but Norway also I think doesn't have a foreign military presence, and they're an original NATO member.
Take foreign military presence how you like. I mean, even in the latest episode of the Grand Tour, they showed Dutch forces training on Norwegian soil.
Yeah,
So,
true.
um,
You know,
great show, by the way.
yeah,
Um, so I mean, that's all that they'll need. They have a very significant military, both them and Sweden do.
yeah, and
Shocking that, the Russians have incited such things.
yeah, for sure. Why did you, by the way, poo-poo my? Speaking of the, I'm gonna get to the Baltic in a second, but like, because Sweden and Finland joining the Baltic, like Sweden in particular, from what I've read, all analysis that says that the Baltic states would fall first did not account for Finland and Sweden being in NATO and basically NATO being able to resupply them by sea and air.
No, what it accounted for is that there were 10,000 Russian tanks waiting just over the border that actually ran, versus in reality where they're dragging the T-55 out of storage to send it to the front.
Right.
Um,
But it used to be that like NATO's only connection to the Baltics was through this Suwalki Gap in Poland.
yeah, a gap that would be easily defended now.
Yeah, like
Um,
yeah, no. Russia ain't doing that much. But like Sweden in particular has, I think, Gotland is basically NATO can just put aircraft there and Russia can't sink it.
Well, of course, I mean, that was true for the whole thing. Kaliningrad would fall instantly.
Yeah. Why
Um,
didn't you like my idea of Ukraine giving Crimea and Poland getting Kaliningrad?
they don't deserve Crimea. They don't deserve anything.
But they don't deserve Kaliningrad.
So nobody deserves Kaliningrad. What?
Yeah, no, I mean Russia's I'm okay, honestly, with Russia completely cratering in the Baltic if it means that we have to let them get something in the Black Sea. No?
No, not really. I mean, they don't need it, and the territory is useless. All it does is it's like Transnistria. It's a territory that consumes, of course, more Russian troops than the population of it, according to Lavrov. But it
Right.
just sucks their resources up in a territory they can't defend.
Yeah, but even if Russia holds on to Crimea, Ukraine can starve it of water. They can prevent resupply over the bridge.
Yeah, but presumably if you signed an agreement, you wouldn't be able to do that, and
Right.
all they have to do is build a pipeline over the
Yeah,
where the bridge is.
but no, the main concern about Ukraine not getting Crimea is that if there's a ceasefire, Russia can just rebuild their forces and attack again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Um,
why Ukraine. By the way, Crimea seems more winnable than Luhansk at this point.
Unlikely. The problem with Crimea is you have to only go through a narrow
Right.
strait, whereas
But what I'm thinking about
the
is
other cities is you just drive. I mean, all you have to do is replay 2014. You drive around the cities and try and
like what
besiege
Russia's doing to
them.
Bakhmut. By the way, what's happening in Bakhmut?
The line holds.
Oh, it holds.
Yeah, the two villages that guard the supply points continue to be attacked, but I mean, I think I saw a video today of like 5 Russian tanks
Is
being
is isn't
destroyed.
isn't Russia now like in eastern Bakhmut?
Yeah, they withdrew from the eastern portions, allowing the river to cover
Yeah.
the side.
Yeah.
Um, but all it is, and there are definitely reasonable opinions that they should have withdrawn. But I mean, the casualties around it on the Russian side is beyond,
Yeah,
anything that's been seen in the past 100 years,
not just Russia, also Wagner.
80 years.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
not just
what
Russia,
they're doomed. They're already talking of going back to Africa because they've
Wagner.
lost so much. Yeah.
And what helping what? Eritrea?
Or Chad or any other places that the French have lost recently.
Oh, you mean the French aren't they withdrawing from the Sahel?
They're gonna have to. They failed to keep friendly governments in power, and so now it's all falling
Yeah.
apart.
Oh, that reminds me in France. They got the pension reform through.
Of course, I'm surprised they had to resort to whatever section of
Yeah.
whatever article it
Does
was.
does that mean the next government could potentially undo that easily?
I mean, they could do that anyway, right?
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, no, but I mean pension reform. But I kind of, as someone who supported pension reform, I think I may have made a very bad comment when the protesters were protesting against it. I retweeted them saying, "Let them eat cake."
Not wrong. The
Yeah,
French economy doesn't or barely functions these days.
yeah,
Pension
and
reform is absolutely necessary to control the growth in social spending. I
right,
would have gone further. And any talk of it, encouraging the radicals. So,
yeah. No, in terms of like, I was a little bit shocked at conservatives who were embracing Le Pen over Macron, given that Macron is more pro-free market than any president France has had in a long time, or say maybe
um,
ever.
he has a lot of very left-wing people in his party. I mean, obviously his PM was a former socialist.
But
Um,
like he basically got
so
what Bolsonaro was able to get done in Brazil, which was pension reform.
yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, the fact that there are people on the right who prefer immigration restriction over pension reform, like
that shouldn't be surprising. I mean, we have a pro-social security ad against, the governor of Florida. So,
yeah.
um,
Oh
plenty.
yeah.
The far right is economically left-wing. It always has been. In
Yeah.
fact, Le Pen is probably almost is as far left on those questions as the communists were.
Yeah. You know, for sure. No, but
If not even worse,
I
since there'd be no compunction.
jokingly say though, it's unfair to compare Donald Trump to Marine Le Pen. Marine Le Pen conceded when she lost.
Even though she greatly overperformed, of course.
Yeah, no, that was scary.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
but also in the legislative elections, how well the Rallye National did.
yeah, which wasn't surprising. The lockout against them was always going to be difficult to maintain.
Yeah. There was an
But
article I saw in The Economist that basically advocated that we should let the right, like the far right governments govern and fail. Because
well, it'd be nice, but plenty of them continue to do things.
the thing that I'm watching, like Germany, it seems like the AfD is like in decline, like in free fall, in fact.
They've been struggling mostly because most of their leaders are very corrupt,
Right,
and just because the new leader of the union is much more right wing than
right.
Merkel
But
was.
the one that I'm concerned about is Vox in Spain. They seem to be ascending.
I thought they were struggling in the most recent polls as the new lead, well, not new anymore, but the new-ish leader of the People's Party was doing better.
Okay. Um,
They're going to be in the next government though. That's a guarantee if the
oh,
right wins.
you think the right's gonna win in the next election?
I should. They were polling fairly decently.
Yeah.
And the
Um,
polls in Spain generally underestimate the right.
right. I
At least they have been in the regional elections.
speaking of Europe, in the UK, I apparently what's his name? What's the name of the current prime minister?
Zarek? No.
Yes, Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, Sunak, yeah.
He's basically the polls have a tight race with Labour now, right?
If you assume 15 points is tight,
Oh, I thought it was like a dead heat now.
no, it's just not 25 points.
Okay, maybe okay, fine. Maybe I'm confusing that with the Alberta polls.
Yeah, well, in Alberta, the Smith is winning.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Um,
I thought she would
sure.
be like really divisive. I thought Notley was coming back to power there.
Unlikely. If there is a tied poll in Alberta, the right is going to easily win. The polls always underestimate the right.
But Alberta, keep in mind, has basically become like a two-party state, two-party province between the Conservatives and the United Conservatives and the NDP.
It's been that way since the UDP formed.
Yeah,
UCP formed.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, it's not surprising. Although, admittedly, it is kind of funny that the Wild Rose failed to rise again.
There were people who tried to resurrect the Wild Rose Party.
I think they called it the Wild Rose Independence
I
Party.
thought that whole thing was put to bed when they founded the United Conservatives.
Some disagreed, but even them, the Alberta Party, the Liberal Party, they've all just kind of fallen away, which is good.
Yeah, no,
Makes everything less complicated.
I'm
But they've been
sad about
doing it.
what happened. I'm sad about what happened to Kenny. I thought Kenny was a great premier.
Yeah, I mean, he struggled at the end.
Yeah. No, he had a
Way,
9% approval rating at the end.
yeah, just way too much talk. No clue what he was on about. Like Doug Ford shows, all you have to do is just say things and just everything will be okay. But he didn't manage to perfect that formula.
Yeah, Ford actually is doing quite well. I mean, he gained seats, and I actually pointed this out at the time. In the far north of Ontario, those highly indigenous NDP safe NDP strongholds, they were marginal NDP that election.
Oh yeah. Well, left-wing turnout was quite low. It's not surprising they struggled. But I mean, he got a supermajority, which doesn't matter,
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no such thing as a supermajority in Canada.
but
Uh,
it still sounds nice.
yeah.
But I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it's funny what they're willing to put up with, of
Yeah.
course.
Before we get to across the world, I want to say why I thought Crimea was more winnable than Luhansk, because basically getting Crimea straightforward, breakthrough in Zaporizhia, push west out of Kherson, and then siege Crimea.
Siege it with what?
Cut off the bridge, cut off the boats, cut off the ships from the outside, cut off the water.
Harder than it sounds, unfortunately. The fun bit there is going to be dealing with the locals.
Oh yeah, that's the only part of Ukraine that's majority Russian.
Yeah, well, especially these days. It
Yeah, and
wasn't back in the day,
people
but
we're talking about, by the way, even in places that were predominantly Russian speaking, apparently they've become more Ukrainian speaking in the last year.
oh yeah. Literally Sevastopol is the only part of Ukraine that would have supported the invasion. Everywhere else, they hate them.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Russia's only doing this because of Crimea, arguably.
they're lying. It's nonsense. It was a good paper. I forget the institute about the genocide they intended to commit, the full invade, about their plan to take it all.
Yeah, no, that
Um,
I think the original plan was that land bridge. Then when Afghanistan fell, they thought they got cocky and really thought that they could take it all. And then they tried that and it failed, and they went with the original
oh
plan.
no, Kiev was the plan. They,
Oh.
their everything was focused on Kiev. Um, which is why their initial push was so heavily focused there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, their only problem was that their agents were complete fools or corrupt or both, and they gravely underestimated the resistance that they'd meet.
Yeah. I wanted to better understand why Russia's doing what it did. So I actually watched a documentary on the Chechen Wars. Yeah, it was basically I didn't because I didn't know much about the Chechen Wars at the time. But like my dad has always believed that Putin got much of his current tactics from the Second Chechen War.
Well, I was gonna say they lost the first Chechen War.
Yeah,
In the second one, they shelled it. I mean, the fact that it took them a year to defeat a country nobody else supported,
yeah.
um, only after completely flattening whole cities is just a joke. They've been a joke for decades.
Okay. Yeah, no, sorry. I just got distracted by it's one of the hard things with being married is now I don't have just myself to think about it. I just got a text from my cousin and my wife, so we have a group chat there.
That's
Um
nice.
yeah, we have a couple group chats. I have a group chat with my wife and her sister. I love married life. You're gonna like it too someday.
If only.
So anyway, I mean, I think I'm actually curious to know, would it have really been in our interest to support an independent Chechnya, given that Chechnya is predominantly Muslim, and and during the time that Chechnya was nominally independent, it was basically a haven for terrorists.
Depends what the priority is.
Right. So I mean, because like the Caucasus are to this day the only part of Russia that is still minority Russian. You know what I mean?
Portions of the east should still be. But yes.
Yeah. So I mean, like my father always pointed out, by the way, that one of the big victories for Russia was that the whole narrative about decolonization never seemed to apply to Russia.
No, because people who want decolonization don't actually believe in what they say. It's purely a tool to, hate anyone allied with the West,
Yeah, for sure.
rather than any real belief about, the independence of indigenous people.
Yeah, like why don't you believe in the independence of the Tatars in Tatarstan or the Dags in Dagestan?
Yeah, there's plenty of them there, which is why it's been nice to see how everybody's moved on to knowing that the Russian state cannot survive. That
Yeah.
whatever has to be done to make it fall has to be done.
Yes, someone actually gave like eight potential countries that Russia could divide itself into. It was a video. It said Central Russia, Northwest Russia, South Russia, Volga, the Ural Federation, Siberia, Far East Russia, and the Federation of the North Caucasus, which itself could be really unstable and divide into more countries.
Oh yeah. I mean it's ridiculous that people pretend that this state has any legitimacy. Um I don't know why stronger measures haven't been taken to deal with both any agreements left between them and then its people that, are in other countries.
Yeah. One of the
Um
things I meant to say though is that with one of the consequences, the Russia collapsing, it wouldn't all be good for the West. Like for example, China could swoop in and get power out of that.
That's
Uh,
fine. They can have the East. I tell them everything up to the mountain, basically the opposite, the anti-Hoi 4 approach. They can have it.
okay, I mean
There's
I would
no,
argue though that China is not a friend these days. So
they're not a friend, but they're not, when that war comes, it won't be as tragic as this.
yeah, my hope, by the way, is that Russia suffers so badly from their invasion of Ukraine, and potentially even the state dissolving, that it sends a warning shot to Xi and maybe says, yeah, it's not worth it.
Well, they have to be thinking that. What they're planning to do is vastly harder than what the Russians have failed to do.
Yeah.
It's basically if the VDV were in charge of the entire invasion.
Right. Um,
There isn't a VDV anymore. So,
yeah.
it's not, especially now that there's no way that the Chinese supported this invasion. They know what has been done, to
But
Western resolve, to Western arms reserves, to our industrial capacity, to the willingness of everybody to attack or to go after. Because I mean, the people who like Russia like China.
I mean,
Anybody who pretends otherwise is lying.
it certainly feels like a Putin goes to China moment, if you will.
Not really. They've always been friends. The Chinese just don't respect idiots. Um, and there's no way. I mean, Putin is a delusional fool. Um, they all are. There was I don't know if you saw my tweet about talking about people complaining about the Russians being called, inferior, gas station attendants, but that's kind.
I
They're an
mean, John McCain
unredeemable
described
people.
Russia as a gas station masquerading as a country.
Easily. Not even a very nice gas station. I mean, it's just across the board is completely unredeemable.
Yeah.
Um,
One of the
and we all
consequences,
have to come to terms with that.
yeah, but one of the consequences of Russia, receding and collapsing is that there are these conflicts that have been frozen since the 90s that could reignite. Like, for example, Azerbaijan may be getting ready to invade Armenia and Nagorno-Karabakh.
I mean, that wasn't frozen since the night. We just did a giant war there.
Yeah, but I think Azerbaijan's going to go for the kill.
Well, the best part is that Iran has said they will support Armenia when that they do that, which means the Turks are going to have to openly support Azerbaijan. Um,
Yeah,
and then everybody's jumping in.
isn't Armenia like a Russia-aligned democracy?
I don't know if it really qualifies as a democracy anymore, but
Like
Russia aligned,
Azerbaijan is certainly
yes.
not a democracy.
No. And
Yeah.
nor do they're very similar to Urajan, where they don't naturally want to be Western aligned, but they have to be just by circumstance.
Do you know why I was a little bit surprised to know that Azerbaijan is good friends with Turkey? It's because that Azerbaijan apparently is 85% Shiite. So
They are.
why do they hate Iran so much?
Because Iran Iran views them as lost territory, and there are more Azerbaijanis in Iran than there are in Azerbaijan, of people that have become increasingly repressed
Yeah.
by the regime.
I've heard it said that Iran is now minority Persian or plurality.
Probably, probably. They've always been surprisingly diverse.
Yeah. It's certainly now minority or plurality Islamic. Muslims are not a majority there anymore.
Well, not as if the regime acts like it. But the fun bit is going to be what that's going to force. What's going to happen is that if any conflict between the two breaks out, both Turkey and Israel are going to have to help, and that's going to lead to some of the funniest
Yeah.
alliances ever.
Honestly, Israel's alliance with Turkey has always struck me as puzzling because I felt like
They don't
Israel.
have an alliance with Turkey. They have an alliance with Azerbaijan, and the Turks have to deal with that fact.
Yeah, I mean, Israel, I feel like would be better aligned with the Kurds. And like, again, I said this before, that was the big mistake after the First World War, not giving the Kurds a state.
The Kurds' problem is that they're in everybody else's country and are too damaging to everybody's interests to get a state. They're too far left for us, and they're too disruptive for the East.
Yeah, but it's not like every Kurd is part of the PKK.
No, but I mean a lot of them are, and even the Kurdish adjacent parties that are not are still extremely left wing.
What is
Um,
Turkey's beef with Sweden still? I have to know about that.
Sweden has always supported groups like the Kurds, or even back in the day, they supported the ANC in South Africa. That and the Turks are they're just being jerks about it. They want a bunch of people deported. They're not going to get them. And so they're at an impasse. The other problem for the PKKs, of course, is they are terrorists.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people, back in the day, they blew shopping malls up, you know,
Mhm.
they caused race riots. I mean, these are not, good people, and there's no, and not that the Turks are good people, but, um,
Yeah.
they are in fact terrorists.
Right.
Which if you're
Uh,
left wing is quite problematic for us. But I mean, the other problem, of course, is that, the Israelis have made an extremely concerted effort to get Azerbaijan on side because they know they can use them to attack Iran.
yeah. And apparently that's also the reason why Israel has not been as critical of the invasions, because I think Russia and Israel have kind of a silent, Russia kind of quietly allows Israel to operate in Syria.
Well, no, it's because they have an enormous Russian population in Israel, and before Bibi didn't want to piss them off. Um,
But
I don't know why they tolerate that as much as they do, and they've gotten much closer to the good side these days.
I thought it was because Syria was basically a client state of Russia, but Israel had interests there.
They do, but there's no reason they need Russia's consent to do anything.
Yeah, especially because Turkey looks like they're going to take a chunk off of Syria themselves.
They should. Somebody needs to guarantee the Northwest,
What's
where
going
they
on
still,
there?
well, the continued rebel held areas.
Oh, the rebels still have territory?
Oh, significant territory. They continue to fight routinely.
I thought the government with Russian support basically beat them back.
No, they still hold the I forget what's the name of the town? Um, I'm gonna
Raqqa?
find it. No, that's in the
Aleppo?
east. No, this is a big city.
Yeah.
What's it
Actually,
called?
my dad was of the opinion that one of
Icheb. Icheb is
HF.
the name. Yeah, that's the center of rebel control, and they continue. It's kind of funny actually because they're also on the list of people who are like kind of terrorists. Um,
My dad was of the opinion that one of the mistakes Israel made in 2013 was not using the Syrian civil war as a pretext to basically take a chunk of territory east of Mount Hermon and basically say, "Hey, we're protecting the Druze who live here."
they don't care about the Druze. They'd rather not deal with them. They've always had trouble with them
The Druze
along the
in Israel
border.
proper, the Druze in Israel proper are very loyal,
Yeah.
but
Well, loyal is one thing, but they're just there.
the
And
Druze
they
in the
cause
Golan, the Druze in the Golan though, they've been worried because they're worried if it goes back to Syria that and if they pledge allegiance to Israel that they'll be massacred.
oh, they will be.
Yeah.
But I
So
mean those areas, I mean fundamentally the war was lost when we all failed to intervene. That was
yeah,
the
yeah, no.
end.
I think again, I think Israel should have gone to the other side of Mount Hermon and taken that back.
Well, they still hold the heights. There's no point in getting involved. Their mistake is that they've allowed Hezbollah to just continue to reign over
Yeah.
everyone, with
Israel.
very little in the way of.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it said that Israel has not really gone after Iran because they know that Hezbollah will retaliate, and unlike Hamas, Hezbollah has a real arsenal.
They do, but I mean the era where I mean it's not 2005 anymore. Missile defenses have gotten a lot better.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, Israel has like a better Iron Dome than they did even 10 years ago.
yeah. Well, and as soon as the Iron Beam comes up, the era where that's a threat will end,
Yeah. Do you think
and
those
that's
beams
almost ready.
you think beams can stop hypersonic missiles, or do we still not have a hypersonic missile defense?
I doubt anybody's ever tested it.
Yeah. I guess going around the world, do you think New Zealand Labour is going to finally lose?
They may. Every time I see a tide pulling, I'm like, yeah, but if you look at like the third and fourth parties, they're right wing.
What's the danger of New Zealand first coming back?
A lot they won't. After
Oh,
they sided with the left, they're dead. I don't even think, are they even in the first four positions?
I don't know. I haven't been following the New Zealand elections that much. I just happened to to know that Ardern is finally gone.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, I mean, these are jokes. There's no,
Yeah.
they need the Mori party to even get a majority, and it just isn't gonna happen.
So Labor's not going to win.
Well, actually, the Mori party here is fairly left wing. There's another Mori party that is not. Um, but I mean, it's gonna be a close call, which is always nice.
Yeah. Um, I guess I was like I'm hoping that the National Party is able to win because I was really disappointed when Morrison lost in Australia.
Well, and the coalition continues to lose as what was it, North something
Wait,
Wales?
who New South Wales. Okay.
Yeah, they lost that miserably.
Oh well, okay, so going state by state, who's in control where? New South Wales.
Every state except Tanzania is a Labor.
Oh, Tasmania?
Yeah, the island.
Yeah. Oh, Labor controls everything on the mainland. Oy.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. So I mean I honestly thought that Morrison was, I think history will judge him better than the voters did.
Probably. I mean, they spent a long time in government. It's not surprise. It's like, in the
Particularly his
UK.
particularly his
The,
effort to decouple Australia from China. That I think history will remember him kindly
oh
for.
yeah. But I mean, once you're in government long enough, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Like the Tories, I don't know why they refuse to just go all in when they're going to lose regardless of what they do. So, I mean, it's like in 90, the mid 90s where it's like, oh, disaster's coming. It's like, yeah, it's gonna come anyway.
So where does Labor get its majority? In the North or in the South?
Everywhere.
Everywhere?
They're gonna do extremely well.
Yeah, because it's like that Labor like red wall in the North that even before Brexit, the Conservatives are starting to chip into.
Yeah, I mean, those areas probably won't swing that hard, but basically anything, south of Birmingham is gonna be pretty rough.
Yeah. No, I mean, like Wimbledon's probably going down, City of
Oh
London
yeah.
and Westminster.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Won't even be close.
yeah. Oh, do
Um,
you think Boris Johnson himself is at risk of losing?
yeah, he'll probably win just because he'll overperform, but
Yeah, because I know
um,
he doesn't hold a safe riding.
oh God, none of well, safe these days may be relative. The UK is not like us where radical swings are not all that common.
Right.
Um,
It's like Canada sometimes.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
very stable. So I mean, um, at
Yeah.
least Estonia went well.
Estonia has like a pro EU government.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
and a
And
deeply anti-Russian government. It was very good to see the far right in second place, although doing more poorly than the polls suggested. Because of course the far right there is very anti-Russia.
yeah,
Um,
kind of like the PIS.
yeah. Well, yeah, except in Estonia, of course, they have a significant Russian population there,
Right.
and they're
Why I mean, of course, because they're still I was wondering why they haven't been deported back to Russia yet.
well, that party would love to do that.
Yeah. Um Lithuania does Lithuania have a Russian population too?
Oh yeah, they all do.
Like,
Um,
thanks,
and it's a
Stalin.
significant security problem.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they're not citizens in a lot of these places.
Really? They haven't taken citizenship?
Not allowed to take citizenship.
Why are they still there?
Well, they don't want to go home.
Oh. Oh, I thought they became Estonian or Lithuanian citizens by virtue of being in Lithuania or Estonia.
They don't have birthright citizenship.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, only Canada and the US have that.
It's mostly a Western Hemisphere thing.
Yeah. Um, if elections were held now, Netanyahu's coalition would lose.
Oh yeah, what a shit show.
Yeah.
I would have gone ahead with it. I wouldn't have let a general strike stop me.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, the fundamental problem is every portion of the overhaul was an extremely good idea, except for the override clause.
I honestly
Um,
think it would have been better had Gantz won that election.
oh God, no, the left needed to lose.
But
Uh,
Gantz in particular was just as tough on security as Netanyahu was.
totally intellectually bankrupt, totally reliant on the left and the Arab parties.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Bibi's problem is he's quite reliant on the ultra religious party. Well, actually, they're fine. It's the ones that keep getting themselves arrested for terrorism that are the problem. And
the
they're
thing
gonna
I
have to be
like,
dealt with.
I was for a long time a Naftali Bennett supporter, so I was happy to see him in government.
Well,
Like when he was head of the National Religious or Beit Yehudi party.
well, well.
Yeah.
Regretting that stance now.
Yes. Especially when Beit Yehudi basically allied itself with the Kahanists.
Oh yeah, and they're a very dangerous bunch. They're not dangerous because they just exist. They're dangerous because they don't know when to be quiet.
Yeah.
Um, and they just don't stop. There was the two that got arrested for trying to torch some Palestinian village, and then he decided, oh, I'm gonna hold a meeting with the parents. It's like, no.
Was this Ben Gavir or
Yes.
Oy. Ben
But I
Gavir.
mean, there's no difference between that and the stuff the Arab parties get away with.
Like I think this may be the first time that a Kahanist is in the government.
Probably, although I'm sure some members of Euclid have been in the past.
Maybe. I mean, I'm just like this the next election can't come soon enough.
Isn't it in 5 years?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna be a while. They'll pass it in the summer.
Unless you get like a significant chunk of Likud defecting.
Unlikely. They would have won the vote had they put it to the floor. The
Yeah.
defense minister didn't have that many friends.
Yeah. I mean,
It's just a question of not moving fast enough and not disputing the more kind of out there concept. I mean, the fundamental problem is that they need a written constitution.
should Lieberman and Lapid have swallowed their pride and agreed to serve with Netanyahu?
Oh yeah, biggest losers of the 2010s. What a bunch of morons.
Yeah.
Forcing him to go to the right rather than just signing up with. I mean, what would it have been? It would have been subsidies for people with interesting hats. That's basically the ultra religious platform at the time, right?
Right, but now we have the national religious or the or not national religious, but I don't call them national religious because they're racists.
Well, of course, that's what the term means for them. No, but the Lieberman didn't like the Shaw in that or Shas, something like
Shas,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the UTJ. So I mean, those were the ones he hated. He was fine with the far right.
Yeah.
Just
I'm actually
not
yeah,
really far right, but basically far right.
I'm surprised that Lieberman ended up in like did Yisrael Beitenu even make parliament? Make the
I
Knesset?
don't I don't think so. Didn't he leave? Because
Did he?
I don't even know.
I have to look that up.
Yeah.
Um,
Funny
yeah,
character though.
yeah,
Yeah, he's still around.
yeah. I mean, I actually was reading that back in the 2000s, after they withdrew from Gaza, there were preliminary talks about doing the same thing with the West Bank, except for East Jerusalem, Ariel, and Gush Etzion,
That
and the
was the
Jordan
plan.
Valley. Yeah,
Would it have worked? I doubt it.
yeah. No, I mean, Hamas coming to power in Gaza basically torched that plan.
Well, just the second Intifada torched that plan. It never would have worked in
But no,
practice.
Gaza was after the Second Intifada.
It was, but the same theory would have applied. The
Yeah,
fundamental nowadays it's a little safer to enact such things because of all the walls.
yeah,
But and honestly, there aren't enough.
yeah.
And there are the walls. They're not just there to stop Palestinians from entering, but for Israelis leaving, who are posed just as much a risk to the area as Hamas.
CA, I want to ask you something I've never asked you before. Can you solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Yes, there is no solution.
Okay.
They are doomed to their current fate forever.
I mean, we couldn't just adopt my plan of just paying them to go to Jordan, but
Wouldn't do it. The fundamental problem is that they're there, they're not leaving. You can't make them leave unless you intend to kill them all. And there will be no political solution that ever works.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the fundamental truth of this is the Palestinian leadership doesn't want to negotiate. They don't want a state. They don't want a solution. They just want perpetual war.
Yeah, and neither side will accept any agreements because they know that neither side can hold their people back.
You know that I've heard that there was a guy who's like sitting in a Palestinian jail named Mohammed Dahlan who Israelis would love to negotiate with.
Probably.
I don't know if you've heard of him.
Heard the name Dalen before. I didn't think he was Palestinian though.
Yeah, I thought it was Mohammed Dahlan or something or Dalan or uh, he
Probably.
he
There's
basically
no there's both no one to negotiate. I mean, we see that with a boss. He has probably the support of 10% of his people.
yeah, no, polls have shown that if Palestinians were allowed to vote, Hamas would win.
Well, somebody else would probably win outside in the West Bank. Hamas isn't that popular either because they're just as in a two-party race. Obviously, they're going to win. But if other parties were allowed, you would see um, Iraqi-style independence rising. But I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's there's no solution, and anyone who pretends there is an idiot. Um, the only thing that keeps everything together is concrete, and that only goes so far.
Well, on that happy note, I actually would like to ask a couple more things. Argentina is having an election. What's the chance the Peronists finally lose?
I think this better question is are they going to get locked out? Didn't I see the Libertarians in second place? I actually haven't
Is
looked in a while.
is the mayor of Buenos Aires running?
You'd be an idiot not to.
Yeah. I really hope that's who the right nominates.
Yeah, I mean, we have some just kind of random polls. I mean, here the right is going to win.
I hope
There's
because
lit there's literally no chance that I mean, honestly, I think the chance of the left being locked out is higher than the chance of them winning.
yeah, no, the Kirshner coalition has been a disaster.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we look I'm looking at some trash polls here. I mean, we have the left at 24, the center right at 26, the far right at 21. That's not the left doesn't win with those numbers
Oh, yeah, the far right's at
ever.
21. I don't like that
Which
number.
which I mean could be fine. The far right there could be a reasonable bunch. They're kind of libertarian a bit. That's how they were described before.
Yeah. Paraguay is also having an election. It's the rights. Is the Colorado Party going to win?
Doubt it.
Oh, you think the Colorado Party is going to lose?
Let's see. I haven't checked there recently.
Hasn't the Colorado Party basically always governed Paraguay?
Probably. Oh, I actually haven't looked in this in a while. Let's see. Well, they had to steal some of the last elections, of course, but
Yeah, no. I
they
mean,
may
basically,
win.
Paraguay was a dictatorship for a while.
They may win. Let's see how one round by plurality. Ooh.
Oy, wow.
Which is it going to be good for the right? No, there are two right-wing parties running.
Mm,
That could be a problem.
right. Before we move on to domestic politics, do you have any maps you want to show me?
Not really. I've been waiting too long for 22 data to come out.
Oh, 22 data is not on the website yet.
God, no. The only state I've seen it compiled for in full is Arizona.
Oh, okay.
And that's only because it's the easiest state to do it for. Florida is coming. I've seen more Florida maps coming out from the usual
Yeah.
suspects, so
Did
that data will be out eventually.
Speaking of Arizona, I think the answer to this is pretty obvious, but did Republicans drop the ball in Arizona?
Oh yeah, and we're gonna keep dropping the ball.
Who
I mean, I guess we
apparently,
survived. We
yeah, apparently
survived on
Ward
the
is
local
out as
level.
chair, so is that their
Yeah,
hope?
but I didn't a fellow traveler win as their successor?
Oh, did she get her handpicked successor?
I think so.
Okay, well that's not that great.
State parties are a bunch of goddamn morons. It isn't even close.
apparently, and the Michigan Republican Party is Arizonaizing.
Way worse than them.
Like,
Well, I mean, they're just as bad, but the state's about 5 points bluer. So
yeah. Although I mean, in Pennsylvania, I was really happy to see Tim DeFore get elected in 2020.
oh yeah, I mean, Colorado's fallen. They're not coming back there.
Yeah, Nevada's looking interesting. There's now mix of Democrats and Republicans in statewide office.
Yeah, we have a
And
minor chance there, so long as we
I
don't
mean,
get totally blown out in Reno.
in Nevada, hasn't the norm usually been for Republican governors?
Not really.
I mean, you had like Republican governors for like many years, and then 2018, the Democrats then won, but then he lost again.
Yeah, he lost. I mean, they should have lost everything, but our geography absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
And they just never. And Lexit was not that good of a candidate.
Sisolak? Yeah, I mean, he was.
Oh, our guy.
Oh,
For
Laxalt.
Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but Lombardo did well. And how's he been doing as governor?
Barely. Fairly well, I've heard, but
Yeah.
still has a difficult legislature to deal with.
Yeah.
I
Don't
did like how we trolled our way in North Carolina the other day. That was fun to watch.
didn't the last thing I heard in North Carolina was Medicaid got expanded.
Yes, I know Eric was mad about that, but after that, we repealed the requirement to have a permit to buy a pistol.
Right. I mean, Medicaid expansion would probably pass in all 50 states if it were voted on the ballot.
Oh yeah, easily. Well, Idaho maybe not, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with like medical marijuana. That would pass in all 50 states.
Didn't it just fail in Oklahoma?
No, that was recreational. Oklahoma already has medical.
Didn't it just fail in South Dakota?
That was also recreational.
Pretty sure there was at least one medical that failed recently.
The only medical I heard of that was Nebraska, where it didn't even make it to the ballot because they couldn't get signatures.
Yeah, which sounds about right. No, but I mean, we held the override vote at 7:30 in the morning with a bunch of Dems absent, and we trolled them.
Yeah. And wasn't that right after a shooting in Nashville?
Oh yeah.
Right.
With a vastly more professional police response than we saw in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, Uvalde. That was.
Can you
How do you mess that up?
What do you think Twitter's gonna look like when their manifesto comes out?
Right. Oh, the shooter in Nashville.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't the manifesto like available for anyone who wants to just do the research and find it?
I don't think so.
Why do how do they put out a manifesto after they're dead?
They just have it on them or leave it at their house.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Walsh had a very normal reaction to the shooter.
Well, everybody did. I mean, it was almost perfectly designed to cause the internet to lose its mind. Well, make everybody lose their minds. Perfectly calibrated, I think. Which means overall, it's all good.
Yeah. Do you really think that the 2024 nomination is just Trump v. DeSantis?
Oh yeah, the only two with even above a 1%. Nobody else, unless somebody bombs the first debate.
DeSantis has a chance of bombing. He's
no,
awkward on the stump.
Yes, he actually reminds me of myself, which is a problem. No, I think he is the right amount. His interview with Pierce, who has reinvented himself as an actual journalist, which is funny. For those of us who followed him a decade ago. His interview though there was very good.
Yeah, well, wasn't he like on the left and on the right, and then whatever he's doing now?
He's just a jerk. So he's whatever.
He's a Daily Mail type.
Wasn't he fired from? Was he filed from the Mirror?
Mail?
No, the Mirror. I think he was.
Mirror.
I think he worked at the Mirror, didn't he?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
He was also involved in the phone hacking scandal. Like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
In the news of the world. So I mean, he's been around a long. But the interview was very good.
Yeah, I first remember him on CNN is where I remembered him.
Yeah. But I mean, the governor's book, I read it. Was pretty standard. Honestly, the only part that interested me was the part about his pre-Congress life, which was pretty interesting.
Right.
But
He was in
otherwise
the
fairly
military
boring.
before he went to Congress, right?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean,
The
there's
thing
a
is,
lot there. This all not the nonsense that's gonna happen today is gonna throw something in it. I think
the whole,
everybody
wait,
champing around.
the nonsense today, what you mean, you mean the passage of the abortion ban?
No, I mean him being indicted.
Oh, Trump. Oh,
Yeah, I mean it's the kind of thing where everybody knows he did it, but he probably is fine regardless.
you don't think
Um,
it's going to go anywhere?
no, the other things may, but it's not gonna happen before the election. The
Isn't
justice system doesn't move that fast.
isn't it funny that it's like Al Capone, like all the stuff that Trump did, they get him on that.
Well, of course, but Al Capone committed a lot of crimes. I highly doubt that Donald has. He's definitely an idiot, but
Yeah,
stuff that in the corporate world, what actually qualifies as a crime, I would say is fairly little in his regard. I don't think it's going to matter either way. Primary polling is absolute garbage. Um, Not even worth talking about.
yeah,
Um, I mean, it's so reliant on everything. It's way too sensitive given how polarized the party is. And honestly, I would tend to agree with those who just think all the recent attacks, they're very low energy.
yeah. And but I mean,
It's weak stuff. It's
DeSantis's
not.
response with to Ukraine on the Ukraine thing was horrifying.
His first response was quite problematic, which is what I said. His second response was better.
Yeah.
Um,
It's kind of like DeSantis doesn't know what lane to take.
yeah, I mean and obviously his background is going to give him um a significant amount of backstopping to be flexible. But honestly, the all of us who are of the more hawkish variety have no choice. Out
I'd
of the
like to support Mike Pence or Nikki Haley.
I've hated Haley for years, and I think Pence is an idiot. He signed up with the wrong people. He's been wrong. He's been unpopular and wrong for years. Haley's been unpopular for years. It
Tim
just
Scott.
doesn't. It could be, but I doubt he's run. He's a way too humble man for this business.
Yeah, although Tim Scott's very popular in his home state. He won Charleston County. No, you don't know what I'm talking about?
No, he did. Yeah, I did. I mean, he didn't really have any, real opponent, but
I think he has been undefeated in Charleston County so far.
probably.
Although
I mean, obviously, he'd be a very good candidate. The governor of Virginia would be a good candidate.
Youngkin,
Um,
yeah. I still remember
there's
Youngkin.
plenty out there, but they don't. No, nobody has a chance.
I think Youngkin is the first ever Republican to win without Henrico.
Sounds about right. Um, he's not. I mean, he's doing fine these days.
I mean,
But nationally, it's delusion to think he's going anywhere. There's a bunch of other people who are just as delusional.
I think, by the way, that if Virginia had governors could run for reelection, then he'd win even if Trump was in the White House.
I doubt it. He'd lose. He'd go down. Not hard, but it'd be pretty rough.
But I think the reason why Virginia is so indicative of the nation as a whole is because it's the unique position, off year, and governor can't run for reelection.
It's not indicative because
Oh yeah,
it's further to the left these days than the rest of the
and
country.
oh yeah, because like it in 2021 it wasn't that predictive.
In 2022, it wasn't that predictive either.
Well, I mean, like 20. I mean, usually the year before it ends up being, but like in 2013 it wasn't predictive. But like, because 2013 was not suggesting a red wave.
Well, I don't know, because I mean, the story in 2013 is us running idiots and losing,
Yeah.
which has been the story for the past decade. So,
One of my
um,
Virginia friends actually said after the midterm, saying that in retrospect, Terry McAuliffe had the right strategy. He was just an idiot not to switch it up when the other guy won the primary.
yeah, I mean, he was never going to be able to find the R3 people there as radical extremists.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah. No, I'm glad that I ultimately supported Youngkin and the others in 2021. I was
Well, of
just,
course, I mean, of course, had we stuck to that same playbook, we would have won, 55 seats. Um, but of course we didn't, and now we have to live with that.
yeah, no, yeah.
Um,
I think the chances of a suit of that filibuster-proof majority, I think, are now gone.
no, for the next decade easily.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it'll be a while. But I mean, there's still the chance of significant gains anyway. I mean, do you guys have like what, 3 seats? Yeah, they're probably going to be easy pickings.
Well, you'd think. I mean, if we actually ran competent people, we would have
Well,
two locked
West
up.
Virginia and Ohio were looking like are going to run competent people. Montana less so.
Montana, I think we have a reasonable candidate, an unknown candidate, sure, but
Zinke.
oh God, no! What an idiot! I don't even think he's running, is he?
I don't know. I mean,
I think
Rosendale.
he's. I think he Rosendale's an idiot too, but I highly doubt he'll do it.
Who do you have in mind then?
What's his name?
Is he
Shrink or something like that?
is
I
he
can
one of the
look it up.
statewide officers?
Oh God, no, he's a total unknown.
Oh, oh,
He's like,
he's like John James at this point in the cycle.
um, Sheeny is his name.
Okay, you'll have to message me his name on Twitter.
Well, he's been endorsed by the governor, so
Okay, well, the governor beat up someone on the campaign trail, so or
and he
body,
won.
yeah, yeah, he won.
So say what you want, but
People actually. Oh, Tim Sheehy. Uh,
yeah, veteran, I believe.
sounds like
So I
another
mean,
John James, except
well, he won and overperformed.
yeah. Well, John
Um,
James also overperformed.
no, but I mean, he overperformed in 18 and 20, and then he way overperformed last year, enough to outrun, the litany of the worst people in the state we could find. Ohio should be easy. It's way too red now. Manchin's dead. West Virginia's too red, and honestly, I doubt he'll run.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking for a while that Manchin's gonna retire.
And then once we have that, we'll win. That'll be what, 52? I
No,
don't
no,
believe they're
Manchin, I believe, is 50. Unless
no, but the three we've mentioned.
okay, the three you mentioned: West Virginia, Ohio, and Montana. That's 52.
Yeah, and then we're not going to lose anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Except
Texas
I
is
mean
probably
Texas.
the.
Texas is literally the next state on the list, and it's like, no, not going to happen.
I mean, Colin Alred is running.
They can run anybody they want. The state's too red.
Cruz was like what, 2.5 points?
He was, but it's not 2018, and everybody's gotten a grip. The story I've heard from what happened in 2018 is the Cruz team was a bunch of complete morons, and way underestimated what was going to happen. And
My
since they've
unpopular,
not done it again.
yeah, my unpopular opinion is that I think that it's probably not because John Cornyn's a pretty good candidate, but if Trump is president in 2026, I think Texas could go blue that year.
It'd be a fight. It's still not moving blue enough at a rate that really matters.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Texas is going to go red next year at least one more time, and then
Yeah, I don't think it's that concerning. The team there is very the party there is very good.
the thing that I saw
The
that
Allen
caught my
Wests have been kicked out. Georgia is the one that could just disappear for
yeah,
us.
Georgia's looking like it's going.
Um,
Although at least on the state level, though, it's looking quite red.
for now, redistricting saved us, but how long will that last?
Yeah, actually,
Um,
what's his face? Eric Cunningham thought you could have still drawn, you could have still packed Democrats into 3 seats in the Atlanta metro.
good luck.
He basically
Uh,
did like the fajitas in northern Georgia.
you can do that, and it's something we should have done. I honestly didn't think the Georgia map was that good.
Yeah, yeah.
Which admittedly it held, and is still, at least until maybe 28, is extremely safe. So
I mean, I would argue the Atlanta metro requires 4 VRA seats.
it doesn't, because you still have to draw one white Dem, right?
Well, I mean, why do white Dems deserve anything?
Well, they don't, but the areas are so blue, it's dangerous to put them anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, so it'd be like Chantel Brown's seat or Cory Bush's seat. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh
you
yeah,
know, kind
very
of
dangerous.
kind of
No, but I
majority
mean,
black, but not
the
that
the
much.
House is absolutely a toss-up. Redistricting is gonna help. Um,
Yeah, no, I mean, in terms of Texas, the state house map, I think the state house could flip.
it could they did as good as job as they possibly could given the county rule. They will have they held this time. I don't think until the end of the decade that map is in danger.
Mm.
Our House candidates always overperform anyway, so
How's Beth Van Dyne looking? Because that seat was Trump plus 12 in 2020. I think the one they drew was Trump plus 12. Are they going to redraw the Texas map, by the way?
they have to do the state map again
Oh,
because they narrowly violated the county rule with one of the districts.
oh wow. But
Um,
but in terms of, I thought that they would have wanted another shot at the RGV, given that their gambit kind of failed. So they could have drawn like three, marginally Biden seats and try to go for all three.
no, they need to draw one seat that does the South and stop wasting their time with the strips.
Okay.
Um, what is all
But
this?
I mean, like, I was wondering, like, if there was any desire among the Texas GOP to redraw that map.
Not that I've heard. The main redrawing is going to occur in North Carolina. The next series of redrawings will happen in North Carolina, Ohio, and probably Wisconsin, barring a miracle.
So Ohio, I imagine they're going to try to cross out Amelia Sykes,
Oh, they're going to try and actually do the map that they should have done before,
but
which they now have the court to implement. I don't know what they're waiting for.
why?
I guess they're just moving
I think that
slowly.
aren't they required to have a seat that's just Cincinnati?
You're going to get three.
Like Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, but
You're going to get three votes on the Ohio Supreme Court for that.
oh, out of seven.
Yeah.
So you think they're going to allow a crack of Hamilton County?
Easily. What they're going to say is what the dissent said last year. They're going to say, oh, the redistricting amendment, that was a suggestion. That's what they're going to say. And they're going to draw whatever they want. The North Carolina, they're going to kill the previous ruling before.
Yeah, no, the
They're
North
they're
Carolina, that's it's going to be what, 10-4, 11-3?
uh probably 11-3.
Yeah.
With
So
the
that
what was
means
the joke? What was the joke? Why didn't we go for
that means it's just going to
I think
be
it was at the time, I think it was 11-2 because I didn't think we could get away with it.
right. Yeah. So it's probably just gonna be Valerie Fouché, Deborah Ross, and Alma Adams.
One seat for every city, basically.
I mean, no, it's probably gonna be one seat for Charlotte, one seat for Raleigh, and then one seat that's Raleigh going into the belt.
Yeah.
Like the last map.
The maps I've seen do like 10-3-1
Right. No, I mean,
kind of
I don't
thing.
think you can get away with one seat in the Raleigh area. I think that's
Not anymore. In the past, well, you can. It's just
I mean,
dangerous.
would it be wiser for them to do two seats in Raleigh and then a competitive seat in the belt?
No, it'll be 11-3 or 10-3-1 technically, because
Yeah.
they're not going to cut the north or the northeast up.
Yeah, the Northeast is what I'm talking about. That's where you put like a marginal seat.
Yeah. Which we should win because elections in that area are basically just censuses.
Right. And
But
trending right now is I mean in 2022 the rural Republicans in the rural black South did quite well.
yeah, and the goal there, the other goal will of course be the legislature, where
Yeah.
they should beat Stein. Um,
You think I mean I'm not excited about Stein losing given who Republicans are probably going to nominate.
I mean Robertson's insane, but he has
Robinson's
that,
like another Mastriano to me.
but he has that black preacher vibe to him. So I mean that's all good. And then what's the name of the other guy? DeFore or something like that?
Tim DeFore, he's in Pennsylvania.
No, what's the dude's name? He's like the auditor or something in.
Troxler? No, he's agriculture commissioner.
No, I forget who it is. But regard the other.
Auditor Beth Wood there's a Democrat who's auditor.
No, there's somebody else who was announced he was running.
I haven't checked up on North Carolina in a bit.
It doesn't matter. Robinson will win.
Oy.
It doesn't really matter who
No, I
else
think if
runs.
Robinson's the nominee, I think Stein becomes governor.
I wouldn't bet on that because I mean, obviously Robinson won at the same time as Cooper won.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I mean,
Fullwell is the guy's name, the treasurer.
oh, Fowell. Okay, Dale Fowell's running.
Yeah, so he'll be a
Good. I hope he wins.
very good candidate. I mean, both of them will definitely win.
But
Especially
anybody
without.
but Robinson, please. Anybody but Robinson.
But I mean, the state is getting red enough, and now obviously with a friendly Supreme Court, there won't be any funny business. Um,
Like, just anybody but Robinson, please.
so it'll be just a question of not completely screwing it up, which they didn't do this time.
You know how you
So
not screw it up? Don't nominate Mark Robinson.
yeah, but he is pretty funny. Come on.
He thinks Jews control Hollywood and are indoctrinating our kids. Like I said, he's like Doug Mastriano.
Who also wants to run again, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Just wake me up when the elections are over, please. Like,
They never end here.
yeah, I'm not looking for. I mean, one of the things that more impressive results I saw was you know, Dr. Oz when he was like losing statewide, like in Chester County, that was Fetterman +4.
He did really poorly.
No, but
What a joke.
but in the Philly suburbs, he overperformed.
Well, that was his base.
Yeah. Yeah, he like Fetterman only won Chester County by 4 points. That was a Biden +16, 17.
Probably.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just a joke. I mean, it's a race to the bottom. We'll be lucky to hold the state senate.
Pennsylvania, you think the state senate's gonna flip?
It easily could. It's probably like
that means a trifecta.
it's probably lean R at the moment, just because their targets are kind of red.
Well, that would mean a Democratic trifecta in Pennsylvania.
It would. Of course, the House could flip back at the exact same time because I mean the margin's what, a seat or two.
Someone basically drew the fairest map they could in Wisconsin, and the state house was still 55-44 Republican.
Yeah, they're gonna try. They're gonna have to hard gerrymander, which their Polish candidate will let them do.
They're about to lose the Supreme Court there.
Oh yeah. And once they do that, it'll flip. I would say one House seat at most. And the legislature shouldn't flip.
Again, I don't know how Democrats come to power in the Wisconsin legislature.
Hope the WoW counties become blue because that's about it. They have no choice otherwise. But no, we're luckily losing that doesn't hurt too bad nationally.
Yeah.
If we lose it all, it'll be close. Dems are not going to run away with it.
The Republicans are going to impeach Tony Evers just to stage a coup and get the governors back.
They could try. It would be funny to watch at least.
Yeah.
Which is my standard basically for everything. But I mean, 24 is going to be a fight to the death. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess it will be. I just
because the primary is going to be a fight to the death. I would be in the camp that says that Biden doesn't run again.
Oh, you think Biden's not going to run again? I think he's been showing every sign that he's going to run again.
He wants to run, but he is quite old.
Okay. Well,
there are limits to that.
I mean, who do you think is going to be the Republican nominee at this point?
50-50.
50-50. So you think, because like the polls have been showing Trump up, like
polls are garbage. There's nothing to even talk about there. They're absolute garbage and should just be ignored. There's no way to square polls showing DeSantis up in important states while showing Trump 25 points up nationally. It's not a thing.
DeSantis could apparently California and Texas have weird rules that could give DeSantis like all the delegates.
Our rules, I believe, in all of our states apply for that. Whoever wins first place is going to win most of the delegates.
Well, I mean, like, but the early states tend to be proportional.
I don't think we have any proportional states except maybe the first two.
Yeah. I mean,
South Carolina definitely isn't proportional.
South Carolina, I think, is one of the first winner take alls, but or at least district by
Yeah.
district.
But I mean, it's going to be a fight, and it's a fight that after watching the nonsense of the past month, they're not very well equipped to win. I don't know if you've seen the Republican consultant jokes, but every article they write is it's a meme at this point.
What have they been writing on about these days?
It's all just bedwetting stuff. It's like worrying about primary polls a year out is just nonsense. Worrying about them at all is just nonsense. Whereas one candidate continues to release just absolute trying to think up clever nicknames that aren't clever and are just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
I'm not worried. I think so long, because I mean, eventually all of this is going to end.
Okay.
His
Well,
problem, of course, is the indictments are not going to stop.
yeah. Yeah.
This is what happens when you live in hostile jurisdictions.
Well, I mean, it's also what happens when you commit crimes, but let's not forget about that.
Yeah, in hostile jurisdictions.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. Why do you think Trump moved down to Florida?
Yeah. Well, even there, who even knows? The hostility there is going to be kept up aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to let you go at this point, but we really should do this again sometime. Like, I want to get you and Christy on the show, by the way.
How's she doing?
I hope she's doing well. But CA Conservative, as always, thanks for coming on the show, and we will see you again next time. Where is the button to stop recording?
May want to edit that part out.
No, I'm keeping this in. I'm keeping it all in. Like this is with you. I keep it all in.